Hey you, welcome to my podcast. Do you like amebo, unsolicited advice, and very unconventional opinions about Christianity, mental health, and psychology? Then you're in the right place. It's Monday Morning Rant with Miss James H&M. Let's go! Hello, people. Welcome again to another episode of the Monday Morning Rant podcast with your home girl, Messi James H&M. Yes, I hope you had a very wonderful weekend and you're ready for what the week has to offer you. To my first time, my first timers, thank you so much for deciding to listen to my podcast. It's such a blessing to have you here as a first time listener. I want to promise you're going to enjoy yourself. Promise you'll have a very good time listening to me. And my podcast is everything positive. I talk about church, I talk about the scripture, I talk about psychology, daily life, everything positive. We don't do anything vulgar here. We don't do anything bad. No, you will not find it on my podcast. Everything good, everything God. That is what we do here. Yes. To my day ones. Oh wow. My people, my fan base. Thank you so much for the repost. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you for sharing, for the comments. Please, I like reading comments. Like, it gives me joy coming back to read comments. So if you listen and you have opinions, please put it in the comments. DMs are nice, but with comments, people can relate and also share their perspective from what you're talking about. So please share your comments. Thank you so much for those that always comment, for encouraging me. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to look forward to the recap weekend. Yes, don't forget to Saturday's video content. For my first time, as it is my video content, I put it out on Saturday's weekend. It's a summary for the Monday morning rant. So most of the time the audios are lengthy and people sometimes don't have the patience to listen to the end. So the recap weekend is a video content that sort of summarizes what I say on the audio podcast on Mondays. So don't miss out on that. Moving on to the topic for the week. This weekend, I'm going to be discussing something very dear to my chest. If you've been listening to me for a while now, you will know once I say something is dear to my chest, of course it has to do with the church. Yes, because that's the whole reason why I started ranting in the first place. It definitely has something to do with church. You will know my favorite rant of all time still has to be the church hurt. So today, I'm going to be talking about the trials of the preacher's kid, trials of the PK. I spoke about this. I wrote it. You know, I used to write Monday morning rants before Sha. For those of you that don't know the story of how Monday morning rants started, 5 years ago now. So it was during lockdown, right? 5 years ago now, I started writing Monday morning rants. And one of the first topics I treated was the trials of the preacher's kid. And what led me to doing that is the same thing that is leading me to do it again 5 years after. Because I stumbled on a post on TikTok, and the first time I wrote it was because somebody said something on their status about how pastors' children used to kiniko, pastors' children just used to turn out bad, pastors' children just kiniko, had a lot of negative things to say about pastors' chats, pastors' children. And the thing just struck me somewhere. I'm like, nah. It's finally time to talk from the backstage perspective, because a lot of you always have opinions from the audience perspective. Many people that have negative things to say about preachers' kids are not preachers' kids themselves. That should say something, right? So I stumbled on a post on TikTok last week where I know many of you will have seen that video because it was trending. He was playing keyboard, he was the sound engineer. Like at the same time, he was using one hand to play keyboard, he was using one hand to play drums. He was singing, there was a mic in front of him, he was singing, and then sometimes he was taking his one hand off the keyboard while playing the loop to adjust sound and all. And he wrote in the caption like the struggles of a preacher's child when your father's church is still an upcoming church and there are no workers, or there are people that are workers but are not serious. And I entered the comment section, and by the time I kept scrolling, I saw that there were a lot of preachers' kids. And I'm not talking about small, small children now. I'm talking about those of us that are adults now, but still remember the struggle. Some of us are even currently in the struggle. It's not as if we are still remembering, we are currently in the struggle. So this podcast is for the preacher's kids, it is to the church. Get it? Yes. So I'm doing this for my own people, because I'm doing it from our own perspective to those of you that cannot relate. So if you are not a preacher's child, sit down and listen to me very carefully, because I'm going to be blunt. I know I'm going to get emotional, because each time I have to talk about this, it touches me somewhere because I can relate like mad. Yes, it's time to correct some things that you people feel about preacher's kids. So I'm going to divide this rant into perspectives so that I can be coherent. If not, I'm going to be ranting as if I'm in front of my therapist, just talking at us. So no, I want to be coherent. So I'm going to divide it into perspectives. So the first thing I'll talk about, the first aspect I'll talk about is the myths about preachers' kids, the different kind of myths, that myths, myths. I'm a Yoruba girl, so please, anyhow you hear it like that. Thank you. And people know money rant is in 10 countries currently. Give the Lord a clap now. I cannot hear the clap. Thank you. Yes. But Omo Yoruba ni mi o. If I don't pronounce am well, no verse. Popular myths about preachers' kids. That's the first thing I'm going to be talking about. The second thing I'll talk about is the double standards practiced by the church towards the PKs. Then the third thing I'll talk about is the struggles of the pastor's child and how you people make it worse. How church people make it worse. So, yes, I'll talk about the myths first and we can move on from there. If you've ever said something like, that's how pastors' children used to do, and that you are the one I'm talking to, oh yeah, catch front chair now. Put the chair in front and be listening to me as I'm talking. Yes, thank you. So the first thing, I think I've even mentioned it earlier, is the idea that PKs, so preachers' kids is PK. I don't want to be saying preachers' kids all the time. So PKs always turn bad. That is the first myth. And you hear it everywhere. That's how pastor's children is. Once you see a young person misbehaving and they tell you, and she's a pastor child, that's how all of them used to do. Are you guys being be for real? Sit down and do the collation, like collect your data. Preachers' kids that have turned out brilliantly well, they are doing well in the kingdom. They outweigh the ones that turned out bad. If you want to do statistics, collect data and do all that analysis and stuff, the ones that are doing well, that are still in the faith, are more. If you arrange 10 preachers' children, you will see that at least 8 of them, and I'm not talking from just blind, even around my life, if you arrange 10 preachers' children, those of us that are still in the faith, that are holding God by his garments, like if he shifts small, the garments fit here. We plenty pass the ones we don't derail. So what is it with this idea of preachers' children always once you see somebody doing bad thing, me I know say na pastor's child, na so then they do. No be so we they do. Keep quiet and sit down, please, and stop that nonsense talk. It is not true. A lot of preachers' children turn out fine, turn out well. They love the Lord. They are still serving the Lord. So stop it. When you see somebody behaving badly, they are behaving badly. Not necessarily because they are pastors' kids. It has nothing to do with that. And the idea is psychological, right? When you see a lot of children that grew up in a home where there was excessive control and excessive force, and they had excessively overprotective parents, most, let me not say most, quite a good number of them turn out this way because it's psychological, even for animals. Cage a bird for a long time, and then for some birds, this is also related to temperament and all. For some birds, you cage them, by the time you open the cage, they don't want to go anywhere because they are used to it, right? But they are the ones that once they smell freedom, they're like, wow, this is what it feels like to fly over trees and fly over this thing. They fly wild and far. They feel fly from Africa, reach Europe. Do you understand? So it's purely psychological. It's not because they are preachers' children. No, there are other children, idol worshipper children, Muslim children, imam children, pagan children, atheist children that still turned out the same because they had very, very strict, controlling, and overprotective parents. When they smelled freedom, they became wild. It is not exclusive to preachers' children. So please, Mona, calm down with that talk of pastors' children. And so then they do. That's how they used to know. Many preachers' children have turned out fine and are still turning out fine. Okay? Okay. Thank you. To the next, all preachers' children must become ministers. Please miss me. Miss me with that. That's BS because uh once people now see preacher's child that's doing something, she's a lawyer. Why? Why is she not a pastor in her father's church? Why does she have to be a pastor in her father's church? So because her father is a pastor, automatically means she must be a pastor too. And I want to plead with preachers too. There are children that have been caged in a life that was not meant for them because we're trying to force them into ministry that God did not design for them. All your children will not be pastors, and it is fine. So I've seen cases where I've forgotten there's the son of a popular preacher in Nigeria who is a tech bro, and people are like, is your father not a GO? What are you even doing in tech? I don't understand. So because his father is a GO, he's not allowed to do any other thing than to hold the microphone and be in front of people. I think when we begin to realize that wherever you find yourself as a believer is ministry, we begin to see things different. If you're a tech bro, you're a business person, wherever that your business is supposed to be ministry. You're supposed to handle it like you are being light to the world for Christ in that place. When we begin to see things like that, then we will understand that being a preacher's kid doesn't mean you have to be a pastor or you have to be a gospel singer, you have to be a gospel poet, you have to be a gospel something. Do you understand? I can be a pastor's child and decide to be a footballer. I can be pastor's child and decide to go into tech. I can choose any field I want to be in and not necessarily be a preacher, and it is fine, right? So there are many other things that you could talk about preachers' children. As you are listening to this, just be thinking about all those other things you people used to say and just know that it is wrong. It is, cancel it from your mind from this point onward and forevermore. Stop saying those things. So I'll just leave the comment section open. If people have other myths that you want to, suggest and cancel out, please be dropping it back to back. Thank you. So moving on, the double standard practiced by the church towards preachers' kids. So quick story time. I know people like story time. I'm going to share a story. Back in ah 20, what was it? Several years ago, I know I was still in junior secondary school. My dad, that was when my dad got ordained as a pastor. But I think at the time he had not been sent out yet or something, but he was a pastor already ordained in the church. So one of those days we're in children department now, children singing this little lad of mine and all of that. And then the portion of play and chilling that comes after Sunday school. So there was this rather big girl. She was older than me. She was already in senior secondary at the time. We were playing and all. And then she was wearing this very funny looking beret. So I pulled off the beret off her head in the midst of play now. Just play, we were chasing each other. So trying to catch her, I pulled the beret off her head. It came off by mistake. I stretched to pull something and then it was the cap that pulled off. So tell me why this get turned around and gave me a very dirty resounding slap. Hiya! That slap made my ear tingle. Remember I said she was bigger than me, right? Made my ear tingle. And I was just there. I was like, why did you slap me? So I sort of pushed her, like, you slapped me. Why? What did I do in that moment? So one of the adults saw us, and I think her mom was also a teacher in the children department. So she was like petting her daughter and telling her daughter sorry, and then the teacher also separated. And me, I was just there crying. Did I even cry? I can't remember. The slap was too hot for me to even cry. So after they separated us, they now like faced me and like, is your father not a pastor? Why will you be behaving like that? Why are you fighting? And in that moment, 9 year old or eight, I can't remember, 10, 11, 12. I can't be nine. I was in junior seven, so maybe 10, 11. Yeah, I just looked, I'm like, why am I the one you are blaming? She slapped me first. We were playing and then she slapped me out of the blues. Why am I the one people are facing? Because my father is a pastor. Then they faced me, not one adult, though, like two or three of them. So it was the girl's mother that started it first and talking to her. Yeah, yeah, a pastor's child, say you're behaving, say you're fighting in the house of God. And I'm like, there were two of us fighting. Why is it me people are facing because I'm pastor's child? So people see double standards, but when your cousins, your brothers and sisters are doing rubbish, people will not call them to order. But once you smell, my pastor just pass by your nose like this, you have something negative to say. Why are you behaving like that? Why are you wearing skirts that are short? But your sister left home wearing skirts that are shorter than my own. You did not call her. People realize when our fathers preach in church, they are not coming back home to repeat the sermon to us, but it's the same sermon that we heard in church that your children heard too. So it's not as if when we come back home, our parents sit us down and then re-preach the sermon to us. Do you understand? So if the sermon my father preached in church is changing, is expected to change my life, why is it not expected to change your child's life? Am I making sense? So please, the same standard you will hold your family members to, please try and be softening the pressure when it comes to pastors' children. Your cousins, your friends, your siblings that are misbehaving are not different from us. It's the same sermon we heard. So if there's ever been a time you looked at a pastor's child and you're like, is your father not a pastor? Why are you behaving like that? You are in the wrong. You can correct somebody without saying, yeah, is your father not a pastor? I don't need to hear it every 2 AK market day that my father is a pastor. Trust me, I am aware. I am living in the reality of it. You don't have to remind me every single time that my father is a pastor. So if you're one of those people that is behave like that, please stop it. If you see two children fighting or two teenagers fighting, and one is a pastor's child, the other one, correct both of them. Don't tell one, is your father not a pastor? Why are you fighting? The other one, is your father not a Christian? Why are you fighting? They not teach you not to be fighting. Please, let's hold people to the same standards. Pastors' children are not angels on earth. We are not angels in human body. We are humans like your siblings, like your cousins. Your cousin that is doing, let me not talk. Some of you have siblings that are smoking up and down. Their lungs has 2 years left on expiry dates. You will not call them to that, but mistakenly smell. Now one pastor's child that have gone rogue is drinking or doing one thing. You people will have something to say, but the one living in your house, you have not had anything to say to that one. You have not yet correct that one. Is somebody's child that you want to correct because a pastor's child? Be calming down. More na dey calm down. The same standard the same soft pedaling you give to your family members and your friends that are misbehaving. Please be soft pedaling with pastors' children too. They are humans like you. People put too much pressure. And I can bet you that if we decide to go the psychological route and, you know, therapy and all of that, the ones that have gone rogue, pastors' children that have gone rogue, is most likely because of the kind of pressure you people put on them to be perfect. They are not angels. They are not angels, so they are not celestial beings. They are human beings like your children too. So the same grace you give to your kids, give it to pastors' children. It is not easy. E no easy. Una dey calm down. So this is one of many double standards that you people just have towards pastors' children, and it is appalling, it is annoying, it is irritating. Please stop it. Pastors' children, when are supposed once you see a pastor's child, you suppose squeeze small 50K inside our hand, more use am because you know it's oh Lord. Yeah, time have go. So next week I'm going to talk about the actual trials of a preacher's child and how you as a Christian, how you make it worse. That's what we're going to talk about next week. So don't even want to miss next week. Hmm? If you now miss this week and you hear me next, please come back and listen to this one. Yes. Let me just calm down before I start the para. Now, it be like I don't start the para. So yeah, now everything I've said today, please let it sink into your ears. When you see your pastor's child on Sunday, please squeeze small 500 naira in their hand and tell them well done. You know it's now no go under. Next week we understand better, right? Yeah, see you next week on another episode of the Monday Morning Rant. Bye.